for whenever you find this. So whenever it resonates. What I'm seeing here is you're really in a place of rebirthing yourself. So you're in a space of trying to figure out, you're no longer who you were. And so you're now in a space of transforming here. So again, you could be dealing with a Scorpio energy. It doesn't have to be, but I also see that you could also be dealing with an air sign energy. It doesn't have to be, but I do see Libra. So they could have the characteristics of Libra stands out for me. And certainly so does your sign, Gemini. But what I do see here overall is everything is connecting to each other. So that is what the Pluto sign is all about. So the book itself references it, saying that it takes 248 years to traverse the zodiac. So the largest of its 5 moons circle each other and create a binary system. So what I'm seeing here is you're kind of descending into the lower echelon of things, the lower parts of the underbelly of society or yourself, and able to be reborn. So this is you moving down into a space where you're dealing with some of that shadow energy. And it definitely still speaks to you have a willingness to move forward and be reborn into this new space, but it definitely calls to some actions where you have to take at least 3 actions, is what the card references. First, dig deep. Don't avoid the fears. And secondly, be willing to transform. And third, use the knowledge that you gain wisely. Don't use it to power over another. Don't use it to rise yourself over another. This is the space where you're trying to really get below the surface and dig up what's worth keeping, and then looking at those things and saying, well, how can I use that in my new transformation? So everything has been a lesson. And so you want to take with it the aspects of that work, what you actually did learn in each space. And you want to take the things that you consider to be golden truths. So it's not dismissing everything that you've learned. It's unearthing the things that you consider to be golden treasures, golden nuggets of wisdom, that kind of thing. So it's also that energy of take a look at where you're ruminating, where you're spending too much time in obsessions or neurosis or anxiety or dark levels of stress, that kind of thing. And listen to those areas, heal them. So, how do you heal them? You heal them by talking to yourself in a more compassionate way. When you heal yourself, you heal the world. So, you actually are able to look at the world in a more compassionate way when you actually listen to yourself. So don't let these things control you, because when you allow yourself to ruminate over it over and over and over, obsessing about something or the anxiety, or it becomes a neurosis, and it then is a space where it becomes a comfort zone. And so it's a go-to every time you feel bad. And that's just something that isn't real, and it doesn't allow you to transform. So when I say it's not real, it's not that the emotions aren't real. It's that the situation itself is your version of that truth. And of course, we can only come at things from our version of that truth or that situation. But it's really a space where you need to look at unhealed areas of your life and heal them through giving them positive talk, positive energy, positive things that you couldn't get from external circumstances, and mourn the things that you have to leave behind. Yes, it was a comfort zone at some point to, ruminate over how hard things were and how bad something was, or somebody, did us a wrong, that kind of thing. But mourn that that version of those people and yourself is gone, and you are now someone else. And it's now time for you to get curious about the things that are going to come forward in your life. So take a look at some of the ways in which, you misused your power over others, or others stepped out of their own power or misused it around you. But remember, you're trying to move your space into the self-empowering space. So mourn the old you, that you have to let go of that person and the things and the way in which they dealt with their shadow side, because a lot of that shadow side that I'm seeing with this card seems to be around depression or obsession or neurosis or heavy or negative energy, that was just cycling back and forth, like round and round and round. So that is where you need to actually take a look and heal yourself. And again, it's talking to yourself in such a way that you build yourself back up, not so that you're dominating and overpowering, but looking for the little gold nuggets in each of the situations that created a truth for you, and then knowing that and able to, so you're stripping everything down and getting it back down to the essentials. What is important to me now? what do I need to focus on? What advances me? What's the next step? What really matters? Who are the people that matter to me? And that's the stuff that you want to build on. So again, it's that energy of rebirthing yourself is in a space of being uncomfortable. And of course, you have to be uncomfortable, because if we're in a comfort zone, we won't move. Okay, sorry guys. Anyway, so this is also an uncomfortable place means that there's also a certain level of disorder. So you want to be more organized, and that's where this is telling you to push that level up to reach your potential. So you want to, whatever you were doing before, do the reverse of. So if you were disorganized before, create more order, because you need to stretch yourself further, and able to develop your soul, and able to develop your situation, to develop your imagination. You're not looking to escape here. You're looking to build on and integrate lessons so that you can grow. And that's what our universe is all about: expanding and expanding and expanding, rebirthing. So, again, do the reverse of what you were doing before. So, if there's an area of your life that you felt was a comfort zone, then you need to reverse that so that you are, because if the chaos was the comfort zone, reverse it and create more structure. Dealing with, I read for cancer just before that, where it's dealing with one gear at a time, because one gear throws out another gear, throws out another gear. So if you're dealing with one gear at a time, this will become worth your effort, and you will see some long-term benefits over time. So it's not your game, it's you trying to figure out a way to contribute to the game. So you're going to be passing the ball to someone else. And again, and able to do that, you have to be in a leadership position, and you have to work behind the scenes to create a better version of yourself so that you can pass that ball on. So you need to redefine what your idea of success is here, or what abundance means to you. It's redefining it so that you can expand into it. So, how do you see successful people? Do you see them as organized? Do you see them as controlling their emotions or whatever? Then that's the thing that you need to really address. That's the need that's the area you need to step up to and grow into. So you want to expand your number of contacts, and I do see that over here with the cross-pollinate card. So it's also, this card indicates that you're being challenged with this combination. You are being challenged to apply your talents in a situation, probably more artistic, I would say, but certainly it could speak to, anybody who's an engineer of their life, or engineering, period. But either way, you're going to struggle to use your talents in a way that is not going to be around a negative place. So if it's jealousy, self-pity, self-doubt, anything like that, this is a call to action to level it up in such a way that you're identifying with preparing yourself to make a turn to become that which you think success embodies or looks like. So what does a successful person do? What do they look like? What are their surroundings like? That kind of thing. So that's what I see here. You want to know what you bring to the table, and that comes from loving yourself in those quiet moments. It's not you looking at other people or things external to you to make that happen. So we also have that energy around, again, the 12th house. So this is introspection. This is where uh, you're really in a place of introspection, being that you're trying to ground yourself, I would say here. So again, whatever that is to you, to ground, finding a quiet space, being out in nature, being in the sun, meditation, prayer, positive framing of things, that kind of thing. But the action here is to introspect. So this is where the situation is pretty complex, but you also need to think about things before you act. So what are your motivations? What are the things that you need to develop within yourself? How can you be more compassionate to yourself? Listen, within, and certainly advance some of those ideas by taking a look at what you think looks like the world you want to move into, because you are in a space of rebirth, and develop those things, cultivate it within yourself, and able to get there. So it's essential that you really take care of yourself at this time, because you are a part of the whole system. So as I say, the cell of one part of the system, interlocks with the next cell of the other parts of the other parts of the other parts, and then moves into the next system. So when you look at yourself in the grand scheme of the world, we are a part of that living organism. We're a part of that cell, and we need to, you're either going to be sort of a cancer to yourself in that space, or you're going to look adjacent to you and realize you can go back into the shadow area and ruminate and still stay in that stuck place and deal with all the hardships as they keep coming. Or you can level yourself up by learning something new, looking at the wisdoms that you've already integrated, dusting off some of the things are like little golden nuggets, looking for more information on in a certain area, grow, expand, that is, and then you can kind of move in toward the next system, which would be the sun area, let's say. And then that is going to allow you to deal with things from a more positive frame of mind. So instead of looking at the shadow and saying, okay, here's the next hardship that's coming at me, and I'm just going to relive that moment, take, 28 days to ruminate over it, or you can go adjacent to you in the sun, think of it in a more positive frame of mind, figure out another solution, interact with other people to sort of bring about a solution. And then you'll realize that it wasn't as much of a hardship. But when you're stuck in the shadow side of things, the hardship is a hardship. And then you douse on more of your own negative flame or your own negative thought patterns to, not feel that there's a way out, and that's a more negative space. Whereas when you actually go to the, slightly adjust to the right of you, which might be where the sun is or the next system is, you can actually level it up because you are now in a space of not just thinking positively, you're actually putting some time and energy into finding the solution and not allowing your emotions to run you. This is where you're in control of the emotions, and the situation then improves. So again, it's taking time to develop and show some compassion to you and those around you, because that reflects one gear, which our connections are also the next gear and the next gear. So if you communicate well with other people in your sphere, then it'll be that much easier to communicate with those beyond that foundation here as well. So it's time to, again, take care of yourself, honor who you are, acknowledge that you're a part of a system, a family, a culture, a group, our world. You're a part of that, and you need to operate in that part of creation from a place of expansion and growing. So, again, this is also not denying your individuality, because if you do, then you're not really coming here with the part that you were supposed to contribute to that whole, to that system. So this is where you want to exist independently, but you still want to be able to change your perspective around your immediate surroundings so that you can also expand in the next level of surroundings around you then. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like, if you're in this stuck energy over here, you're living the same day every day. And that's just you practicing on how to get out of your own mire. It's like being stuck in a, what is it, sand trap or whatever. The more you move, you just go further and deeper down. So it's almost like you're just in that place of standing still and not really seeing, beyond that mindset. But when you do see beyond that mindset, which again is in your sphere, that energy is there, then you can actually see that you can practice from a more empowering place, which is a place of connection. So when you can, advance the communication around you, don't say things, you know, communicate in a more effective way. Don't say things that you can't take back, but communicate in a more effective way in your immediate surroundings, which will then change gears so that you can communicate in the next system that you are very close to. And then that will allow you to grow and expand. And that's what the cross pollinate card is. So you're really in a space where you're trying to kind of find the midpoint between. So again, could be dealing with another air sign here. Libra figures prominently, I would say here. But just to remember, you are a part of the one, and it is a perspective shift. So again, your perspective can say, I'm just going to deal with a problem over here in the same old way, and I'm just going to move in the mud the same old way, and just hope to God I can see a glimmer of hope, or you can deal with the perspective shift where you're actually kind of turning on into the next system here, and you can see that you're kind of moving into different cards, different elements here where you can actually move up into the next system, but it's based on your rebirthing. It's based on when you're ready to move things into a timely fashion. So you need to return to your personal path here. This is where you have been disconnected and now you're reconnecting. You're merging into this new space where you can actually feel um, you can feel that you're actually a part of a group, or you're more connected to people than you had been in the past. So this is also that space again where you're facing your fears, but the choice is yours. You can either feel like you're consumed by it and then wait for someone else to throw in something to change your mindset, or avoidance, or you can tap into the next system, which is where you expand, and then you feel more creative bliss. You'll feel more moments of centering, more of a deep connection, and you'll realize that you're not alone. Okay, so moving on to the next card here. So the card of beloved, and that is Venus. So again, I did indicate that it was dealing with an air sign, but I do feel in this space, there's either a creative project or a heart space. Romantic situation could also be relevant. Sorry, one sec, guys. Coffee. Sorry, I always seem to have throat problems periodic when it's allergy season. Anyway, so here, this is where you're actually looking for a unique path, a heart space, something that you're connected to. And even in terms of, oh my gosh, even in terms of a love situation, it feels like you are back and forth about a particular situation. So something is either hot or cold. You can either communicate or you can't. It's that kind of feeling if it's dealing with a relationship. The action of this card is to learn to soften your heart. Try to find the best in a situation or the best in a person. It'll make your situation much more beautiful to deal with. It's also a space of trying to be much more diplomatic in the way that you deal with your situations. So again, it can be you being more generous, someone else being generous to you, you being compassionate to yourself and to another. And this is where you're going to find more value in your connections. So it's also a creative muse, and what you want to be able to come to know your own heart space is really what the card indicates here as well. So when your heart is going through a difficult time, again, this is where you go into nature or ground yourself. It's not avoidance, it's not doing things that we're just an immediate quick fix. This is the space of really trying to find the medicine for your heart. And so, how do you find the medicine for your heart? Is how would you find the medicine for a child's heart within that you were when you were younger? What would the medicine have been for you to have that child feel better? What would the words have been? So, those are the things you need to speak to yourself, so that you can actually, not become blind in the face of love, or have a poor understanding of love. So this card is encouraging you to heal your own heart and to say the words that you need to hear, and be kind to yourself, be friendly to yourself, and in turn that'll help you to be the same with other people. And it's not one of intolerance, it's one of being diplomatic and finding a way to be more tolerant of people's differences. And it's okay that we're all different. That is the whole point, is to find expression or expansion, or to understand someone else's perspective so that we can actually possibly use that as a character in a book, or use that as a broader way of understanding the world, or dealing with someone that we wouldn't have otherwise dealt with in a work situation. So it's preparing yourself by allowing yourself to introduce different people that are different from you with different ideas, and learning to accept that and be more compassionate of those words and the things that are different from you. So I also feel like again, this is where, words of the heart are the issue. So I feel like there's, something that you're doing negatively. Again, you're trying to rebirth through, you're trying to work through darker situations. And the only way to open up those lines of communication is really to help understand through gathering information and then sharing information. So you're getting a whole bunch of different truths from different elements, and you're trying to explore socially, social media, anything that is helping you to kind of connect the dots so that you can unpack it, take a look at it, and then express it in some way, whether that's an art or a writing form or whatever. But either way, it's you putting out a lot of seeds or a lot of different ideas to really understand something. So again, it's working on your immediate foundation, because that's going to be how you're going to be heard. If your immediate foundation and the things that you are close to, you deal with in a well communicated way, then you're also going to be able to see your answers outside of that, because you're in a place of rebirthing and changing who you are. So that all starts with communication with self. Unexpressed feelings have to be dealt with. People that but it's not in charging at them, it's everything is dealing within yourself. And it's all about acceptance that we all have differences and that we all come at it from a different point of view. It's not that you have to point out somebody's right or wrong, it's just letting everything just be, so that person can be who they are around you, and you can be, who you are around them as well. So again, it's willing to think a little differently, not to be shallow or oversimplify things. Think deeply this month is really what that measure of sorry guys, what that measure of the advice would be for you. So anyway, that's what I have for you. It's just, again, keep moving forward. You're going to be expanding here on a social level, but it comes from, again, you won't be able to advance this. It might even regress you if you jump too soon. It's almost like you need to change something about the inner talk and your inner influence of the social area, those that you're social with right now, that needs to be dealt with before you're able to expand, because those communications in those areas will help you to expand and deal with the next level of people that you'll be able to advance with. But you can't avoid it, otherwise you'll be thrown back into this energy. So it's not about repression, it's not about regression, it's not about dealing again with those areas of diluting. It's about finding ways to accept that it's okay that those differences exist between us and that we come at things from different areas and different ways of thinking. If there is a blockage and you can't move past it with someone, then what can you do to stretch it further in another way? Sorry, guys. Where you can expand your contacts, build up trust, and find ways to, learn more to prepare for the next turn of events here. So again, I feel like you're kind of stuck in some self-pity and self-doubt, and you're being challenged again to grow in ways that you can't predict. The whole point of this space you're in, again, for rebirthing, is to diversify, stretch, and strengthen your weak muscles. So encourage yourself and encourage others. Be that voice. Anyway, that's what I have for you, Gemini. Keep moving forward.